was interesting.
I'd like to call to order the Monday, June 2nd, 2025 City Council meeting with a call to order and record of attendance. Rhonda, please.
Drake,
Here.
Lindsay,
Here.
Robinson,
Here.
Peach Out,
Here.
Turnbow,
Here.
and Ware.
Here.
And we'll have the opening prayer by Tom Robinson and Pledge of Allegiance by Matt Drake.
Let's pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for your many blessings. We thank you for the opportunity to care for the world you have made. We ask that your blessings would rest on this council, that you would give us great vision and enthusiasm for our work. Please bless the efforts of our hands, the bonds between us, and the influences of our work in this community. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. The first item of business is to approve City Council minutes from April 28th, 2025 and May 8th of 2025. Are there any changes or comments on these minutes? Seeing none, the chair will accept the motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the next item is a public hearing, and the chair would to talk about the fiscal year 2026 budget, and the chair would accept a motion for public hearing.
Make a motion for a public hearing.
Second.
Motion made and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? JD?
Mayor and council, there's no significant changes to the budget since it was presented to you in April, but we are willing to answer any questions or address any issues that you or the public might have. So if you want to receive public comment, and we'll have the budget ordinances after this on the agenda.
Does anybody have any questions or comments on the fiscal year 2026 budget?
No, sir.
Seeing none, the chair will accept a motion to adjourn public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Motion made second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are now in regular session. First item up is the first reading of Bill 6378, fiscal year 2025 budget amendment. Chair will accept the motion for the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? First reading, Tabitha, please.
Bill number 6378, as adopted, shall become emergency ordinance number 6378 and shall amend ordinance number 6349, which will be amended to the fiscal year 25 budget. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Sikeston, Missouri, as follows. This bill includes sections 1 through 6, all of its parts and subparts, and it's read and introduced to the council this first time, the second day of June, 2025.
Amanda, you have the floor.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This ordinance or amendment is to our FY25 budget. Throughout the course of the year, we're awarded grants or we have some unexpected expenditures that arise throughout the year. This particular year is no different than any other year. As your council letter indicated, we received multiple grants that weren't budgeted. Our CDBG fund is not budgeted, and so the changes to that is reflective of finalizing the day out homeless shelter that was awarded a couple of years ago. We finished that project, and then we received 2 other CDBG grants throughout the year, so we are starting that. Our drug seizure fund, those funds are never budgeted. We never know how much we're going to receive. So this year we were fortunate enough that we received we were dispensed several monies from that. And we purchased a vehicle with that and some other equipment as part of a grant that was approved by council throughout the year. One of the biggest things here in the difference is our 911 fund. Council voted to approve a merger with Scott County back at the beginning of the year, and so we've started incurring charges for that merger. So there was a large expenditure change to the 911 fund. And then one of the final things is the closeout of the Main and Malone fund. This year we finished the audit for that. The TDD has expired or is paid out. The TIF is paid out, and so we will disperse those monies prior to the end of the fiscal year, and then we'll be closing the Mainham Loan Fund.
Good enough. Any questions or comments for Amanda? Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
The next item is the first reading of Bill 6379, fiscal year 2026 budget ordinance. The chair would accept a motion for the first reading.
So moved. Second.
Motion made second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Have it the first reading, please.
Bill number 6379, as adopted, shall become emergency ordinance number 6379 and shall be referred to as the fiscal year 2026 budget, July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. It shall repeal ordinance 6349, being the fiscal year 2025 budget, and all amendments thereto. It shall provide for the appropriation of monies and administration of expenditures of monies received by the City of Sikeston in accordance with the ordinance. Bill ordained by the City Council of the City of Sikeston, Missouri as follows. This bill includes sections 1 through 8, all of their parts and subparts, and it's read and introduced this first time the second day of June 2025.
Thank you. JD, you have the floor.
Sure. Again, no significant changes since the budget was presented to you back in April. This is the budget for the upcoming fiscal year, which starts July 1st, and we'll have second reading and approval of this next week on Monday. We'll have another meeting.
Okay. Any questions or comments for JD? Seeing none. The next item is the first reading of Bill 6380, fiscal year 2026 staffing and compensation ordinance. The chair would accept the motion for the first reading.
So moved. Second.
Motion made second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? For the first reading, please.
Bill number 6380, as adopted, shall become emergency ordinance number 6380 and shall repeal ordinance number 6354, being the fiscal year 25 compensation plan and employee staffing level authorization and all amendments thereto, and shall establish the employee compensation plan and staffing levels and the administration thereof for fiscal year 2026, which is July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Sikeston, Missouri as follows. This bill is inclusive of all of its sections and subparts, and it's read this first time the second day of June 2025.
Thank you. Carrie, you have the floor.
Yep. So for the fiscal year 2026 budget, we are asking to increase our flight linemen by 1 full-time employee. And then also with the merger of the Scott County Communications, that includes the 6 communications officers and communication supervisor. So that would bring our full-time staff to 137 full-time employees, 16 part-time, and 32 seasonal. And then also we are looking at doing across the board increase for full-time employees of $1,500 effective July 1st.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments for Carrie? Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is appointments to the library board, and Rhonda, you have the floor.
Yes. We have 3 board members whose appointments are up this year. Suzanne Chitwood, Karen Evans, and Laura Tungate. 1 has served an interim term, so she's eligible to be reappointed. 1 has served a full term, and she's eligible. And 1 has served 2 full terms, and she's eligible as well. And each person would like to be reappointed if possible. So I'm asking council to make 3 appointments to the library board. And in our resource bank app, we have 2 applications, Camille Lancaster and Blake Bain.
All right. So the chair would need to accept 3
Yes, sir.
nominations.
I'll make a motion that we nominate or appoint the 3 existing members who are up for, that are still eligible.
Okay.
Are there any other nominations? Seeing none.
I'll second that.
Oh, yeah, that'd be nice.
Thought it was.
Seeing none, Chair will accept a motion to accept the 3 existing members.
You got the motion.
We got the motion, so
Yeah.
roll call vote.
Yeah.
Get there in a minute.
Lindsay,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Teach Out,
Yes.
Turnbow,
Yes.
Ware,
Yes.
and Drake.
Yes.
Thank you. The next item is Fire Protection District contract, and Amanda, you have the floor again.
This fire protection district contract expired recently, so we're bringing to the council a new fire protection, or new contract. This is different from the other years. It's a shorter contract, a 2-year term as opposed to the 5-year term. The city's been in negotiation with the fire district since October of 2024, and we have agreed to a shortened contract at this particular time. The contract would be for a set rate of $55,000 for a 2-year term.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, the chair will accept a motion.
Make a motion to approve the fire protection district contract.
Need a second.
Second.
Motion made in second. Roll call vote, Rhonda, please.
Robinson,
I'm going to abstain
Abstain.
from voting.
Teach Out,
Yes.
Turnbow,
Yes.
Ware,
Yes.
Drake,
Yes.
and Lindsay.
Yes.
Thank you. The next item is to renew municipal judge contract. Amanda, you still have the floor.
So this is a renewal of the municipal judge contract for Frank Marshall. This contract is identical to the ones that we have had for the last several years. The contract is for a 1-year renewal of $30,000.
Any questions or comments?
Have you talked to the judge about it?
Yes, he's already approved it and did not ask for any changes.
Okay.
Seeing none, the chair will accept the motion.
So moved. Second.
Motion made in second. Roll call vote, Rhonda, please.
Teach Out,
Yes.
Turnbow,
Yes.
Ware,
Yes.
Drake,
Yes.
Lindsay,
Yes.
and Robinson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda. The next item is the second reading and consideration of Bill 6374, water rate increase. Chair will accept the motion for the second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made in second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Second reading, Tabitha, please.
Bill number 6374, which upon adoption and passage shall become ordinance number 6374, shall establish section 705.060 water rate schedule for the city of Sikeston. Whereas the Board of Municipal Utilities has determined that water rate increases are necessary and proper to maintain the economic viability of the municipal utility system. Whereas the rates presented will increase customer charge based upon the meter sizes effective September 1st, 2025. Additional increase June 1st, 2026, followed by another increase June 1st, 2027, and another one on June 1st, 2028. Whereas the rates presented will increase water usage in accordance with the attached Exhibit A, which is attached and became incorporated by reference. This bill includes sections 1 through 5, all of their parts and subparts. It's read in the second time and discussed the second day of June 2025.
Rick, you have the floor.
2018, the BMU presented a plan to address aging infrastructure to the council. In the plan, the first item was to build a new water plant. You know, at the time, we had a 90-year-old plant, a 70-year-old plant, and a 50-year-old plant. So we were going to build a new plant, and then after we built the plant, it was in stable operation. We were going to move on and start repairing and upgrading some of the existing water plants. We're at the point now to Water Plant 4 has been operating for a year and a half, so we're at a point to move on to the next phase of that infrastructure approach. What we're looking at now is Water Plant number 2. If you look at the picture, I think it went in 51 or 52. Rhonda, you got the next slide? Some pictures of the condition. Obviously, it's a 50-year-old or a 70-year-old plant. Next slide. Just like I said, just go on to the next slide. We can look at the old plant, but there's just a lot of stuff there. I think Jeff told me that when these things are built, they're expected to last 50 years. So, next slide. What we have here is the last time we were here, we did the rates to, if you see in the blue, that's the part that we were trying to cover with the original rates. What we're proposing here is the brown portion, which is the next step in the addressing the infrastructure, aging infrastructure. So the main thing that happened since the original plan in 2018 is a lot of the plan really hasn't changed, but a lot of the costs, especially 2021 on, everything's gone up quite a bit. So Rhonda, if you get the next one. The rates we're proposing stagger in over a period of time over 4 years. And to cover this, the average, a 5,000 gallon average user would end up 4 years from now about $10.50, $10.60 a month increase to support the plant 2 upgrade. Rhonda, you got the next slide? That sort of shows where we're at in the world and where we would be. I've said this before. The people with lower rates just haven't had to do anything yet. Once you have to pay for infrastructure, the rates, we generally are in the middle and we'll end up in the middle again. Rhonda, you got the next. And like I said, this is the next step of the plan. Like I said, it was presented in 2018, and the board's looking to get approval from the council for the rates to move forward with this project.
Rick, I know you showed that the 5,000 gallon user, is that the average user? Is that high for an individual home? What's the average?
We convert that to 5,000 because that's what the state does, so we can compare the numbers with the state. The BMU average is probably closer to 4,500, so the numbers will be less than what we're showing, but it's hard to compare. If people want to know, well, where you compare with everybody else, we've got to convert it to
Make it even across the state, yeah. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, the chair would accept a motion.
Motion to approve bill number 6374.
Second.
Motion made and second. Roll call vote. Rhonda, please.
Turnbow,
Yes.
Ware,
Yes.
Drake,
Yes.
Lindsay,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
and Teachout.
Yes.
Thank you. The next item is the second reading and consideration of Bill 6375, sewer rate increase. The chair will accept the motion for the second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Second reading. Tabitha, please.
Bill number 6375 is approved shall become ordinance number 6375 and shall amend Chapter 705, Section 705.040, Sewer Rate Schedule of the City Code of the City of Sikeston, Missouri, whereas the Board of Municipal Utilities has determined that sewer rate increases are necessary and proper to maintain the economic viability of the municipal utility system, and the rates presented will increase the customer charge and volume charge per 1,000 gallons effective September 1st, 2025. The rates presented will also follow up with another increase on June 1st, 2026, June 1st, 2027, and June 1st, 2028. Whereas the mayor is authorized to execute any and all documents necessary to implement said rate changes. This bill includes sections 1 through 5, all of their parts and subparts, and it's introduced the second time and discussed the second day of June 2025.
Thank you. Rick, you have the floor again.
In the same era, 2018, the BMU also brought to the council a plan to address aging infrastructure on the sewer side. The plan was to start off to address existing needs with the wastewater plant and to move towards building a headworks. We were going to move towards it because the cost of a headworks was so high. The advisement was like, just start moving your rates there in preparation. So that was the action the council took in 18. As I'm here today, we have finished those existing issues at the existing plant that were listed earlier, and now we're at a point to start the headworks and address the lift stations that were on the proposal as the next items. So that's the items we're trying to address now, and it's the next items in the list of the plan. The what I want to point out here, see the green area on the upper left, that portion of the plant, they call it Plant 1, that was actually went into service in probably the 50s, 54. The two circles below it is the next part of the plant. They call it Plant 2. It's the second part of the plant that was built later. It went into service in 1968. And on the far right, the oval area with the two circles, that was built in 1988. And the green portion is now mothballed, but in the green portion is where the existing headworks is. And the existing headworks was designed at a time where you didn't have these flushable, disposable. They market stuff as being flushable, but what they don't say, it's not biodegradable. It's just like Sunny Solid Waste picking up your trash at your house. You're just flushing it down the toilet, and it's ending up there. And it, Rhonda, you got the next picture?
Yes.
It plugs up everything in the plant and keeps the plant from performing properly. You got the next picture. And if we clean that out in a couple months, it looks like that again. And basically the design of the headworks or the filter that's working now was made long ago at a time that didn't envision trying to handle the material that we're handling now. So we're here today to get council's approval for the rates that will allow us to do the new headworks and the lift stations, and that will set us up for the future. The headworks, even though it's going to work on this plant, it's also going to work. It will be there longer than this plant. It will be there for some future plant that's built to replace this plant. So, like I said, we'd ask the council's consideration for those rates.
Are there any questions or comments for Rick? Yes, ma'am.
My name's Tiffany Vaughn, and I'm here to speak about the BMU rate increases and the ongoing failure of the city to provide transparency, accountability, and respect for the freedom of rights of Sikeston citizens. After reviewing the documents BMU provided in response to my Sunshine Law request, very few that I did receive, I discovered that the images and materials, them right there specifically, are the same ones that were presented to the council in 2022. For over 3 years, BMU has failed to provide any updated or substantially informed information to justify these repeated rate increase hikes. More troubling is the pattern I uncovered since BMU began phase 1 of their upgrades in 2018. They have requested rate increases every 3 years. This has allowed them to raise their customer rates annually, effectively increasing rates every single year since 2018 under the guise of these 3-year increments. This is not transparency. This is a calculated scheme to keep raising rates without proper oversight, update data, or meaningful public input. Residents and businesses have been left paying more and more every year with no clear explanation or accountability. I have formally requested under Missouri Sunshine Law all financial impact assessments, engineering reports, board and city council meeting motions related to BMU upgrades and rate increases from 2018 to present, along with any public notes and customer communications. To date, BMU has failed to provide these records promptly and has attempted to charge me $1,000 for the very information that they were supposedly presented to the board for, research time, the time to look up the information they just presented. The freedom rights of Missouri citizens to access public records and to be protected from unjust taxation are fundamental and non-negotiable. I demand that the City Council hold BMU accountable for this pattern of repeated rate increases and their failure to provide current, accurate documentation. Furthermore, I urge the Council to ensure that all future public record requests are fulfilled promptly without unlawful fees or delays, and that the public is kept fully informed about any proposed rate changes. I stand ready to continue fighting for these rights and to inform our community until real accountability and transparency is achieved, no matter what it takes. I'm not saying that we don't need updates and that they're not lying about this. They may be, they may not be. I don't know. I tried to get the documents to find out. I wanted to know.
They wouldn't provide them. If there's nothing being hidden, if they have nothing to hide, and this is exactly what they're saying is, why won't they hand over the documents to show it?
Rick, on all the documents that she's mentioned as far as BMU and all that, are they all public record? Is that?
Yeah.
And so, they are public record for you to be able to look up yourself. It's not their responsibility to look it up for you.
The issue was in the wording of the request. It's it's sunshine law, state statute. It said, I request, I don't remember it exactly, but I request all documents, correspondence, publications, notices, whatever, going back to 2018. So, we had people going through Facebook posts. What do you do to meet all? Okay, we have minutes from meetings. Okay, what minutes were applicable? What studies and what documents were applicable, and who has those, right? You've got what you presented to the board, but when I present to the board a study, if you've ever seen an engineering study, it may be 75 pages long, and most of it is the assumptions they use to come up and all the data, and then you've got one page that says, here's the recommendations. And that's generally what we present to our board. Here's the findings. So if you went to the minutes of the meeting, you go, well, here's this. But when somebody says, send me everything you've got, and it's a state statute, so we employed some people to their time to start searching for all this stuff, so we had it. Okay, how many grant applications did you make? Okay, I don't report that to the board. That's not in the minutes. So. And then the statute also says, I think the statute was written at a time where you just were paying somebody to make a copy. But today, when you're having to go through all that stuff and trying to cover everything, we spent quite a bit of time. We had 4 staff members going over stuff, looking for stuff that we thought met the request. So then when we talked to legal counsel, we said, well, how much did that cost you? And you looked at the lowest rate person and multiply it times the hours, and you go, well, it was $1,700. So, okay, then the legal counsel said, okay, just put this number in. It's less than what you cost. So the statute says that we have the right to charge for it, and it also says we have the obligation to provide it. So
that same data, now correct me if I'm wrong, that same data that you're saying that you're having to research, can somebody on the outside also do that on their own?
Not online, no. You'd have to show up at the building and go, I'd like to see
But
this.
still, even if they show up at the building, they could actually see that information.
Well, it's not in a library. You have to go, what is it you want to see?
Right.
Jeff keeps engineering stuff. Marcia keeps financial stuff. I keep in between. Deanna keeps the minutes.
What I'm trying to get to the point is, it's still public, and it's still anybody that wants to look at it.
Yes.
I offered to come in and view the documents myself. I asked to do that, to eliminate them fees. I even asked for an itemized statement of what the fees were for. I couldn't even get that provided to me. All I got was to pay $1,000, and that's it.
Every sunshine law request we get, for as long as I've been there, we turn it over to legal counsel because it's a legal matter.
Right.
And we strictly go by the advisement. There's nobody at the BMU that made the call on let's do this or let's do that. We're going by, here's the advisement we're getting. We need this, we need this. And he also does all the correspondence. So.
And plus the billable hours for them to be able to look at all that.
We pass to him the billable hours.
The Missouri Sunshine Law does not allow for lawyer fees.
It wasn't the lawyer, it was staff.
But he did comment that in there, that there was lawyer fees and he would have me a total bill once everything was done.
But on the sunshine law, what I'm looking here, I'm just going to say this out loud. Allows a public government body to charge up to 10 cents per page for standard copies. The average hourly rate for pay for clerical staff to duplicate documents, and the actual cost of research time for fulfilling the request. This provision also requires that the public government body use the lowest salaried employee capable of researching and copying these records. Fees for accessing records on other media or non-standard paper copies shall reflect the actual costs involved. The requester may wish to ask for a breakdown of the costs associated with the request to determine how the public government body arrived at the financial charge. And so I'm sure, and that your financial counsel, if she wants a breakdown on $1,000, how much that would be and how many pages, I'm sure they could give some format of,
Yes.
and that would be no problem as far as getting that. It might take a little time, but
We
it's
already
still
had
a
that.
record.
We already had that.
Okay, you
We-
do?
We already sent that to legal counsel.
Okay.
Yeah, I've
So-
heard nothing back from legal counsel since my last, request for it. He sent me.
Well, we're going to have to move on.
He sent me a message, on May 7th. I responded on May 8th, and then again on May 12th, and I heard nothing.
Yes.
Don't see the correspondence, so I can't answer.
Are you saying the correspondence between, not Rick, but from legal?
Blanton, Mitchell Blanton, your attorney.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to say you'll have to contact Blanton Law Firm as far as his legal counsel, as far as the rate, if you're asking for the charges and.
I have that too. I've spoken with him, but I've tagged the city manager and I've tagged BMU in every email.
And most of the things that Ms. Vaughn is requesting are not documents that the city maintains. They're in the BMU's records. We did provide anything that the city had that was responsive to her request, but most of what she's looking for are BMU records, so.
And have you gone to a BMU meeting? I mean, those are open meetings. You can go to those meetings.
Yeah, they have them once a month, right? It was already passed by the time this communications between us started and I started the request.
Let me answer part of what she said earlier about the rate increases every 3 years or whatnot. I think what happened was some time ago, the BMU did a rate request and it was rather high. It was one jump and nobody liked it. And through a conversation with the BMU board and the city council, what we decided to do is when we see something, namely a headworks that costs $12 million, instead of saying, okay, let's do a rate increase to cover everything starting this month, we see that it's going to go up quite a bit. So in order to help the customers, we stagger it in over a period of years so that it has less impact, because nobody liked just doing a sharp cut and all of a sudden it goes up like that. So that's when you said they seemed 3 years, whatever, that was an attempt to soften the impact of a hard, so that was trying to help. But I can't make the costs go different. I mean,
I understand. What I don't understand is, when I first inquired about this, your customer service responded back to me and told me that there was no other funding, that rate increases was the only funding there was. I Googled for grants and stuff and immediately found 5 or 6 pages of government grants that would cover this very situation. And I've asked if y'all were inquiring about that, if y'all had looked into that. Since 2018, y'all have known about this and needed it. At what point have y'all made the effort to get grants or something besides rate increase? I also asked about, I don't understand why we wouldn't do this, one, put this to a vote for all the citizens to be able to decide on, and 2, do it as a tax instead of rate increase. Once the rates increase, they don't decrease. So yeah, it may be to fund this project, but once this project's done, our rates aren't gonna go back down. They're gonna stay where they are and keep going up.
Let me answer the grant one. I've sat in the same room and saw what you saw. It looks wonderful. Somebody's up there selling a grant program and you go, wow, that's great. And then you go try to get the grant. And we tried to get multiple grants. We're in the era of the ARPA. The government was throwing money, right? And the state couldn't figure out how to give it away. So all of the stuff that we participated in, where we submitted our project, we submitted this project multiple times. We submitted the water plant project multiple times. They did a grading, and they graded it on our customer, citizen demographic, and our population. The best we ever did was we scored 60-something out of 320-something. That's the best score we got on that grading system. And what we found out was, even though I believe that we should qualify, whoever is governing these grants, our citizens and the median household income of Sikeston and the population, we don't ever win it. We won't. And what happens is they go, well, state of Missouri is going to give out $100 million for these, and they're going to do it $1 million max. And we turn in our stuff, and we've got over 10,000 population, and we got too high, and it goes everywhere else. We don't get any. So we got frustrated with that, and we said, let's try another angle. So we went to economic development. And guess what? They're a lot more concerned about the jobs we got here than the citizens. So we approached it that way, and we got 2 different grants for $1 million to go and get that project right there. And we got the grants, and we said, okay. And then they found out that the second one they gave us was on the same project, so they pulled it. So to answer your grant question, we've been trying to get grants, and we did it. And we couldn't do it with our citizens. We had to do it against business. They were more scared of the business leaving than they were the impact on the citizens. But we recognized that, and we tried to take advantage of it.
And here, and the information that, we're talking about rate increases, and of course, it was presented to us the 1st of May, if that's correct, 1st of May, then it went through the whole month of May, and now it's June, and we're going over, we're going over what data that we've seen from BMU and them talking to us. The data that you're needing and the conversations that you're having are actually something that you should be having with BMU and not with the citizens or the city council, as far as, you're talking about sunshine law. You're not talking about sunshine law with us, you're talking about with BMU, all the questions about the grants and stuff like that. The city of Sikeston does not apply for grants for the BMU. We don't have the documents for the BMU. The only thing that we do is we have the information that it was presented to us, and we know it's not false information. So we have to make this decision by the information that is presented to us. And if you need to go back and do some other research and get the cost of how much it's going to cost to get the information that you're wanting, you're going to have to do that through their legal counsel and the BMU, which is a separate entity.
Well, I have been doing it through them. I tagged y'all in it because you're the council who's I wanted you to know what was going on and how difficult it was to get any information on it from them, aside from what Mr. Douglas gave me. I thought, as our city council, you would like to know that the company that you're
the information
telling to be transparent.
Well, they are, in my opinion, they are transparent. From everything that I'm seeing from what they're showing us and the documentation and how much the cost is. Let's face it. As the time goes by, you say, the rates will never go down and all these things. Well, as we progress forward, nothing's going down. There's nothing that's going to be cheaper today or tomorrow than it was today. Very few things that you'll find that is going to be like that. And to be able to be a progressive city and be able to handle the needs of, we know some cities that are close by that are our neighbors, that they did put the water issue to a vote and it did not pass. And guess what? This summer, they're going to be in trouble because they've already said if something happens this summer, if they go to full capacity like they did last summer, they're going to have faults, and we're not going to go to that steps. We were elected to be able to go forward and make sure that you have the necessities and the infrastructure to be able to do the things you need to do. The things that you're asking for is just research. You don't have anything that is set that says the BMU has not done their job. There's nothing that you can confirm that says they weren't being transparent, that they didn't do their job, that they're not doing due diligence on trying to do the sewer and the water systems. I mean, if you look at the water plants that they're replacing, it's not like that they're lying about it. They're showing them to us. It's not like they're not having,
2022.
and they're not, I mean, they're showing us what the needs are. And if we don't do this, then we'll have a lot more citizens in here that'll be grabbing about, they don't have water, or they don't have sewer, or they don't have power because we don't have the monies to fund it.
I understand all that, and I wouldn't be so quick to question it or be so concerned about it, but we're also talking about the same company that seems to bill us for electric and water and stuff when we have power outages and have no electric. Or when big storms hit and people don't have power for weeks, yet they still got bills, and it's showing on their smart hub that they were using power when they didn't even have any.
Did we have Smart Hub when's the last time we had several?
I know the incident she's talking about.
I question about it a lot.
She asked about it, but the meter doesn't read usage if it's not energized, so it doesn't do anything, so.
Smart hub says that.
We disagreed on whether they used power or not. It was like a Sunday morning that it came back, and I researched it. We had our meter people research it.
But see,
we just disagree on that.
But you're talking about, but we're talking about, you're talking about a very specific instance that affects you and with BMU, and it's not something that is, did it affect anybody else in this room?
Yeah, well, I don't know about it.
I don't see everybody else in the room saying the same thing happened. So that specific instances is what you have to work out with BMU, we can't go with each one of the specific instances, and you're talking about, and you know what she's talking about, and I guess y'all never came to an agreement throughout all that. So since you haven't, whether y'all need to talk again, that's your call. But
What about the meeting that we had over at the Clinton building regarding when we had the big outage and everybody was seeing their bills still being charged? Or when they switched to the new meters and people's bills went skyrocketed, and no one ever followed through with that.
yeah, there was a lot of follow through from the BMU about having the studies done.
Rick, when is your next board meeting?
June 10th.
June 10th? Okay.
I would recommend that you be at that June 10th meeting or address it beforehand if you wanted to with the BMU. That would be my recommendation.
Will you delay the vote until after the board meeting?
It's not gonna hurt us if we do. Rick, if we wait till after the board meeting, is that time constraint gonna hurt the situation at all? We're not doing anything effective.
I think we would have to rebid the project. Right now, we have a bid and a number. I think we would have to put it out for bids again.
It's gonna come in higher then.
And if it goes out for bid again,
It's gonna come
9
in
times
higher.
out of 10, it goes higher.
Yeah, I don't agree with delaying the vote,
No.
especially considering at this point in time, the main complaint is power usage during an outage or during a storm. And I don't see what it has to do with this water.
It has to do
Sewer.
with their character and their previous.
We're not here. Hold it. We're not here to talk about BMU's character. Go ahead, Tom.
I was just going to say, and I appreciate you trying to inform us, but in terms of this rate increase, and this is not the first time we've heard about this. We've been discussing this.
2018.
Yeah, so there you go. Why would we want to delay this vote?
Why wouldn't you take it to the people and let them vote?
Well, that's a whole nother question.
I don't think, no, I object to that because of the simple fact that if you elected us to make decisions, and if we take everything to the people for a vote, and you just can't. We've got to make decisions based on the information that we know, and we know that sometimes in other instances that people voted and they did vote against it, and now if you put that to people's vote, and now they're going to be hurting. And then when you don't have water, then you're going to be the people that are voted against it in a neighboring city, they're in trouble. They're right now in big trouble. And if the water stops, then all of a sudden you got another issue. And my goal is the infrastructure is going to continue, unless somebody votes me out or votes against me, is we're going to continue to have the infrastructure, and we're going to make sure that the cities, citizens and the businesses all have the infrastructure to continue their business day to day. I'm not going to risk anything to make that not happen.
So I have a question. If Ms. Vaughn finds something that's ground shaking, she can always come back before the council later on, correct? I mean,
Yes.
This isn't finito the end. If you find something, please come back to the council.
Absolutely.
And we can revisit the situation again, so.
But also, a lot of the things that she's doing, she needs to actually also with the BMU. I mean,
Exactly. No, that's why I said. let
Yeah,
her
and
find
you're
what
right.
she finds, and if she finds something substantial, come back to us with it, and we can revisit this, but we have to get on today.
yes. Are there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, the chair would accept a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the bill.
Second.
Motion made second. Roll call vote, Rhonda, please.
Ware,
Yes.
Drake,
Yes.
Lindsay,
Yes.
Robinson. Yes. Teachout.
Yes.
And Turnbow.
Yes. The next item is the second reading and consideration of Bill 6377, electric rate adjustment. Chair would accept the motion for the second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Second reading, Tabitha, please.
Bill number 6377, which upon adoption and passage shall become ordinance number 6377, authorizing and establishing electrical charges and rates for the city of Sikeston, whereas the Board of Municipal Utilities has determined that electrical rate reclassifications are necessary and proper to maintain the economic viability of the municipal utility system, and whereas the City Council believes electrical rate reclassifications are in the overall best interest of the residents of the city of Sikeston. This bill includes sections 1 through 5, all of its parts and subparts, and it's read the second time and discussed the second day of June 2025.
Rick?
We have a rate structure for our demand charge customers. These are our larger customers. And if you look on the left, the current rates include a LIPS, which is Large Industrial Power Service. And that was originally put in for economic development, like to incentivize someone to come here who's manufacturing or making something, building something. And you see the other ones, the large general service, large power service, those are all, that's what the rest of the world follows. Like it's tiers, like you use this much demand, you're here, you use more, and they're tiered structure. And that's what everyone understands. We've had a lot of problems with the industrial rate because in our literature or rate sheet, it says it's applied to someone who manufactures something. Over time, the state has done stuff to define manufacturing based on tax credits, which is totally different than what the original intent was. So now we have customers that have a larger demand and don't understand why they don't get that rate. So the board decided it was time, the staff proposed it, the board agreed, and they decided it was time that we put our rates in line with what basically what's commonly done in electric utility business. So what we're proposing is to adjust the rates so that we just have those three tiers. And in doing so, we get rid of that economic development incentive rate. And in doing so, we already have other economic development incentives. When someone shows up here, we have mechanisms to provide incentive rates. So, including the city with the bonds, the Chapter 100, the tax credits you can get. So, Rhonda, if you go to the next sheet, in viewing the customers, the majority of the customers actually get an improvement or a benefit from this. The one who seems to be most impacted is also the one at the very bottom that gets also the most benefit and the most impact. So that's sort of nets positive for them. For the other ones, the board wants us to phase this in over a period of time to lessen it, but once we make that adjustment, we'll have our rates adjusted more in line with what the utility industry does now. And we're looking for, if you notice, it's not a rate increase. It was intended to be revenue neutral. And if you see the bottom, the proposed income will actually be $70,000 less than it was before we started. So it's not intended to be an increase, but it's intended to true up our rate structure to be more in line with what the utility industry does. And I will say this, as I'm talking to you, I have a request from one of the customers that is complaining about not getting the industrial power rate. So we've got 3 current customers that have complained, well, actually 4, in the last 8 years. So anyway,
This will fix this?
correct. Asking for council's approval for this. It's actually a rate restructuring. It's not an increase. It's just restructuring the format of the rates, so.
Are there any questions or comments for Rick on this? Seeing none, Chair would accept a motion.
I make a motion, we approve bill number 6377, the electric rate adjustment.
Second.
Motion made and second. Roll call vote, Rhonda, please.
Drake,
Yes.
Lindsay,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Teachout,
Yes.
Turnbow,
Yes.
and Ware.
Yes.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Are there any other items to be brought before the council tonight? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for your kindness and your attention. My name is Margaret Ann Moon, and I know how everybody's utility bill can be paid. And that's by the, 2 different things that I'm here for tonight. I live at 102 East Gladys, a block from the police station. And that Gladys Street has been turned into a drag race between the hours of 11 p.m. and about 3:30 a.m. If a policeman was positioned there, he could pay, there'd be a lot of money the city would make. Number 2, I'm here for an ongoing issue, and that has to do with dogs running large. The city ordinance has a rule about dogs running large, whether they're aggressive or not. And I'm not here to talk about the 2 pit bulls that had my adult cat in its mouth shaking his head. I thought it was a mop head. It was a cat. I'm not here to talk about the dog in around January that came crashing through my bedroom window, trying to get to a cat. I'm here about what's happened in the last month. We've had pit bulls running large. We've had German shepherds running large. Sometimes they're with their owner. Sometimes they're running free. Recently, a pit bull had a cat over on Northwest Street, dead in its mouth. Then my husband was outside doing some yard work, and a pit bull got aggressive with him. He did not have anything to protect himself with, and he already had it in his mind that he was going to have to snap that dog's neck if that dog charged at him. The city manager and the police chief have generously met with our family. They've done pretty much all that they can do. If there's a problem, I'm to call the police. By the time the police get there, God love them, the dogs are long gone. But I don't know what it's going to take, but it needs to be something. I don't know if it's police incentives, give them $100 bucks if they get a dog running loose. I don't know if it's increase the fines. I don't know if it's chip every dog that comes to the veterinarian or buys dog food. We're smarter than this, and there's something that needs to be done. These things have happened on my property. These haven't happened out yonder. These have happened on my property, and I shouldn't have to put up a $15,000 or $20,000 fence to keep the dogs off my property. Let's get something done. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Moon.
Get that, baby. I can't.
Chief, we can talk about that later.
Thank you.
Is there any other items to be brought before the council? Seeing none, the chair will accept a motion to adjourn into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? We are now in executive session.